Both parties are present, Mr. Rodriguez and Ms. Haley. The state's understanding is we have a request by Mr. Rodriguez for DNA testing. The state opposes this based on there being a valid AOP. Depending on how the court handles that request, it's the state's understanding that we do have sufficient agreements from the parties, again, subject to the courts dealing with that request, to go forward with either further orders or final orders. This would make this would address retroactive support, visitation, and everything that was not yet covered in the temporary orders, Your Honor. But that first part of it was what we wanted the court to hear and decide on first.
Okay.
Judge, I don't have any position on the DNA testing. I was appointed pretty much just to figure out Mr. Rodriguez's criminal situation, which I've done.
Okay. All right, Mr. Rodriguez, I'm going to let the state call you both, everybody as a witness, get some testimony. Here's the deal, sir. I've already found that you are the father in this case, and I did that back in January. And I don't ever recall having somebody 9 months later without them doing their own DNA test asking me for something different. So here's the deal, sir. The burden of proof now falls on you to show the court why I should order a DNA test. I know you're not a lawyer, but I'm going to let the state ask you some questions. I'm going to let the ad litem cross-examine, and I'll see where I want to go with this one. Because, again, the bottom line is, your request, I'll have to also find it's in the best interest of your child, and that even though that's always the boilerplate part of this case, I always consider it the most important part of anything is what's in the best interest of the child or children before the court. So anyway, I'll get some testimony from both you and mom, and we'll see whether or not this is something that I should even consider. So at this time, I'm going to ask both you and the mother to raise your right hand, sir, and unmute yourselves, and I will put you under oath. Thank you. All right, Ms. Hay. Okay. Do both of you solemnly swear or affirm your testimony you're going to give here today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rodriguez, do you so swear, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. You're both officially under oath, and the state may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Pedro Rodriguez. Sir, what is your full name?
Pedro Rodriguez.
Who is the child in this case?
Maddox Rodriguez.
And sir, is it correct that you previously signed a document called an Acknowledgment of Paternity stating that you are Maddox's father?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And sir, were you able to hear my opening statement to the court just earlier?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that accurate as far as the relief you are seeking from the court today?
Yes, ma'am.
And sir, why is it that you're requesting DNA testing at this point?
As I spoke to you earlier, my girlfriend's mother has a family friend. So they were speaking, and then the family friend ended up having to be.
Okay. Well, here we go, sir. Here we go. You can't testify to something someone else said, sir. You have to bring them in as a witness because it's considered hearsay. So if you're telling, if you got someone that you alleging that's that the mother or someone that would know said something that this wasn't your child, then you need to bring them in as a witness, sir, before I can rule up. But you can't testify to something someone else says. It's called hearsay evidence. So unless you got that, unless you got it directly from mom, you can't even testify to something someone told you without them being here to testify, and the state and ad litem and the mother having the chance to cross-examine that witness, sir. So I'll let you go ahead and proceed. But again, don't testify to something someone else said, ma'am, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Your Honor.
That kind of.
Mr. Rodriguez, has Ms. Haley been the person to make you doubt that you are Maddox's father?
There's been times.
What and when specifically, sir?
It's been we were in a relationship back whenever we were dating, and times throughout the relationship, she's she's shown signs and stuff like that to where she's made me second guess before.
In what way?
How do I say it? She, in a way, it's because she would test my manly, like my man. She would, the way that she would make me feel like that is just, I don't even want to get into this.
To date, sir, you have never heard from anyone. Maddox is not your child, or you are not Maddox's father.
No, that has not been said of anybody else, out of nobody's mouth. No, ma'am.
Are you aware of any other man claiming to be Maddox's father or trying to establish that relationship with the child?
Like I said, he's passed away, but back then, yes, but now, no, since he's passed away.
And what is it, sir, that made you suspect this other person who is now deceased?
It's on Facebook. That, like I said, I have all the like pictures on my phone. I have screenshots of it. I don't have the person here to say it themselves, as the judge mentioned.
And sir, prior to your questions or having heard from whoever about this other person, you were going to go forward with a final order concerning Maddox and including a change of name?
I was.
Was there anything else, sir, you wanted the court to consider regarding your request for DNA testing at this time?
No, ma'am, just that.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
All right, Mr. Glass, your witness.
Mr. Rodriguez, were you reinstated on probation?
Yes, sir.
And when were you reinstated?
Oh, I don't remember the exact day. It's been a couple months now.
Like end of July?
Yes, sir. End of June, but yes, sir. Around there.
And
It's been about 2 months.
When the judge placed you back on probation, was there any thing that you were required to do to continue your probation?
Yes, sir. The only things that were added or changed were 2 stipulations. One was to do 10 days of work release, and then to do 5 days of an online class.
And how much longer are you on probation for?
They gave me 6 years, so I believe I'm going on 2. So I believe I have around 4 years, give or take.
And there's no restrictions concerning you being around Maddox, correct?
No, sir, just the victim herself.
All right, pass witness.
All right, then, anything on redirect of this witness, Ms. Mungat?
Your Honor, the state will reserve that. Just waiting on your ruling on the DNA testing, so I would like to call Ms. Haley on that issue.
Go right ahead, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Ashley Haley. Ma'am, what is your full name?
Ashley Cody Haley.
Who is the child in this case?
Maddox Rodriguez.
How are you related to Maddox?
He's my son.
And ma'am, is Mr. Pedro Rodriguez the person who signed the acknowledgement of paternity with you for Maddox?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to hear my opening statement to the court earlier?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you also able to hear Mr. Rodriguez's testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you aware of Mr. Rodriguez asking for a DNA test today prior to today's court date?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you given any reason for the request?
He just said he's had his doubts, or that's not exactly what he said, but he says he has his reasons for wanting to test.
And ma'am, is there any possibility, or sorry, first off, have you ever indicated to Mr. Rodriguez that he is not Maddox's father?
No, ma'am.
Is there any possibility that a person other than Mr. Rodriguez is Maddox's father?
No, ma'am, but he was correct about the man that deceased, there was talk a while back about him being the father.
Was there any resolution to that talk?
No, ma'am. He, the man that his mom claimed, him and his mom claimed that he was the father. He passed away before any DNA testing were done.
And at the time that that Maddox's acknowledgement of paternity was signed, was everybody aware of that other person?
No, ma'am.
And so at this point, ma'am, what is your preference with with regard to the court ordering or not ordering DNA testing for Maddox and Mr. Rodriguez?
I'm not against it. I'm here for whatever. I guess I'm all for it if it eases everybody's minds, but like doesn't matter what I know, but it's what everybody, I mean, whatever. If Pedro wants it and the courts will give it, cool, fine. If not, okay, that's fine too. Whatever is fine.
How old is Maddox?
He is 6. He just turned 6 on the 11th.
And ma'am, given the number of hearings we've had, I'm sure you testified already as to the last time Mr. Rodriguez saw him. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
We ran into him at Walmart, probably not too long. I mean, it was like maybe around March-ish. I don't know. No, I lied. His girlfriend was pregnant, so that was probably like October. No, wait. It was the beginning of last year, 2022.
Does Maddox recognize Mr. Rodriguez as his father?
No, ma'am.
Anything else, Ms. Haley, you wanted the court to consider on this DNA testing request issue?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
All right, then. Your witness, Mr. Glass, thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Haley, one quick question. Did you say that Maddox does not recognize Mr. Rodriguez as the father?
Well, yeah, that's correct. I mean, we don't really talk about him much. I mean, he hasn't seen him in a long time. When we ran into him at Walmart, he was kind of hesitant. Yeah. I mean, we don't, like, the thing is, like, we don't talk about him, so, like, not really.
Who does Maddox recognize as dad?
My fiance, Parker Standard.
Is your fiance planning on adopting or wanting some sort of parental connection to Maddox?
I mean, he's willing to, but he's not pushing on it. Like, if anything was to happen, he would, and has like would help. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Huh. Pass the witness.
All right, anything on redirect, Ms. Mongat?
Not on this issue, Your Honor. Were you wanting me to go into the rest of it, or were you wanting to roll on
I'm probably going to go ahead and order DNA testing on this one, but I'm not happy about it, Mr. Rodriguez. I got enough here where I could deny it easily, but I want some closure here for everybody, so that's why I'm going to go ahead and do it. But Mr. Rodriguez, when we come back and you turn out to be dad, is there a retro amount of child support that has been asked for in this case, Ms. Mongat?
Yes, Your Honor. We were seeking it in the amount of $8,259 going back to November 1 of 2020 through January 31 of 2023.
All right. Well, anyway, let's try to get back in here before December. Look at the later dates in November and see if you can do a reset to one of those dates that works with Mr. Glass, because I want to go ahead and do an order by the 1st of December. Because Mr. Rodriguez turns out to be the child's father, there's going to be a lump sum of $500 due on or before the 15th day of December, based on this being drawn out like this. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, and I believe.
So, and Mr. Rodriguez, I'm going to have the state and have the ad litem enforce that if you don't pay it on the 15th. So again, I'm gonna give you the DNA test, sir. You know, here's but it's a bottom line kind of deal. This one's a little messy, but I'm gonna go ahead and end any and all doubts 100% on this one. And if you turn out to be dead, I'm going to look at already child support and everything going forward with the retro, but a lump sum of $500 due, because Max is going to have a Merry Christmas based on at least a little extra money coming in from you on this one, sir. Understood? Are you there,
Yes,
sir?
sir.
Okay. All right, then. Again, the court's not happy, and I could deny this one easily, but I'm not. At this point, like I said, I want everybody to know, and there will be no doubt in anyone's mind. So anyway, let's look at doing a DNA test. You folks need to get those draws fast and as soon as possible, as soon as you can set them up. And I'm going to look at let me look at a date here, Mr. I can give you a date in that last week. I know I got something that Tuesday before. Okay, yeah, November has, I got a Tuesday docket, and I've got a Thursday. I got a Tuesday docket.
30th would be better, Your Honor.
All right, let's do it November 30th then. Reset to that date.
Parties are in agreement to continue the temporary orders with regard to support and conservatorship. This court did order DNA testing. Those results have come back, not excluding Mr. Rodriguez's father. And so we would just like to acknowledge that those have come back. Parties are in agreement that Mr. Rodriguez should pay or should have taken against him a retroactive support judgment in the amount of $10,298 for the period of November 1, 2020 through January 31, 2023. And the state's requesting repayment of $102 per month beginning January 1 of 2024. Previously, Your Honor, the court had said that Mr. Rodriguez is supposed to pay a $500 lump sum due on or before December 15th. The state's reason for delaying the repayment toward the retro is he'll be making that $500 repayment on top of current support for this month. Parents are in agreement to start Mr. Rodriguez's visitation with the child, electronic communication on Sundays and Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central Time. Those are weekly, and Mr. Rodriguez's in-person time will begin on a first, third, and fifth Saturday. 3 visits. He is going to pay for those supervised visits to occur at a visitation center. Mr. Glass actually provided the specific website, and that'll be included in the order for the parties. So upon Mr. Rodriguez making the arrangements, he'll notify Ms. Haley through the previously ordered app close. And after those 3 visits have been completed, Your Honor, parties are comfortable moving to 3 visits where it's that same shortened period of time on Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Unsupervised, then 3 visits day long unsupervised, and finally 3 visits from 6 p.m. on Saturday until 6 p.m. on Sunday. Upon all 12 of those initial visits being completed, Your Honor, the standard possession order should be in effect. One thing I don't believe I mentioned, Your Honor, was parents are in agreement to change Maddox's surname from just Rodriguez to Haley-Rodriguez. And then as far as the rest of the order, I believe that was it, Your Honor.
All right. All right, Mr. Glass is now in the building, so I'll go ahead and swear the parties in, and we'll get their testimony as to the agreement, and we'll take it from there. Anyway, Mr. Rodriguez and Ms. Haley, please both unmute yourselves and raise your right hands. Do you both solemnly swear or affirm your testimony you're going to give here today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, you're both officially on the oath. I'm going to go ahead and let the state call you as general witnesses, and of course, the ad litem will have the opportunity to cross-examine. I'll say the ad litem can make any type of closing statement he wishes to make, but I understand this is pretty much by agreement, and we'll take it from there. Anyway, Ms. Mongat, you can call your first witness, and you both can put your hands down, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Ashley Haley. Ma'am, what is your full name?
Ashley Cody Haley.
And how are you related to Maddox?
I'm his mother.
Were you able to hear my opening statement to the court, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that an accurate description of the agreements we've reached and the relief you're seeking from the court today?
Yes, ma'am.
With the DNA test report, you've had an opportunity to see those, correct, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, Your Honor, the state offers into evidence State's Exhibit 1, which was also filed with the court.
All right, I didn't see that, but let me go ahead and find it. It's got to be at the very back here somewhere.
Correct, Your Honor. Although, given the holiday delay, perhaps I mistook that for a file mark when there isn't one.
All right, there isn't one in the file, so you might want to go ahead and you go ahead and share your screen, please. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Are you able to see that, Ms. Haley?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And as you can see on this document, it has each of your names at the top. And as I scroll down, we have this probability of paternity.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, this exhibit is coming to the court if it's not already present.
All right, then once it gets here, it'll be marked as State's Exhibit number 1. Is there any reason I should not allow this in the evidence, Mrs. Haley?
No, sir.
Mr. Rodriguez?
No, sir.
Any objection from the ad litem?
No objection. Objection,
I
Your
got
Honor.
it. So State's 1 is now admitted. It shows that Mr. Pedro Rodriguez Jr. could not be excluded as the biological father of the child, Maddox Rodriguez. Probability of paternity is 99.999997, which is within the guidelines set forth by the family code of being 99.99. The court will also find that he is the bio father, and the state may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Haley, was my recitation of what you want Maddox's name changed to correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I forget, does Maddox have a middle name?
No, ma'am. We wanted to change it, but it kind of got messed up. There's like a junior at the end or something like that.
Because I
Okay,
know
so
the dad and his name weren't the same. I was wondering about that junior myself. So
Yeah, it was a mistake. We accidentally wrote in Pedro's name at the birth, and we erased it, and we didn't erase the junior part, so it kind of just stuck.
okay, well, at this time, ma'am, we can go ahead and do what you're requesting. If you want to add a middle name at this time, y'all can. But this is like now, speak now, forever hold your peace on this one, okay? But anyway, I'll let Ms.
If
Bonga proceed.
Pedro's okay with it, it'll Ray if Pedro's okay with it.
Okay, we'll double check that then. When we
Alrighty.
so R-A-Y, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, if you want to name it after my golf partner, that's fine with me. All right, no problem. The state may proceed. Thank you.
thank you, Your Honor. And Ms. Haley, you're familiar with the temporary orders and further temporary orders in this case, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You're also aware that a reset order had ordered communications between you and Mr. Rodriguez to use app close.
Correct.
And going forward, ma'am, the only changes we were requesting was to include the visitation, including electronic communication and that retroactive support judgment.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any problems, ma'am, with the repayment of $102 beginning January 1st of 2024?
No, ma'am.
Other than including the specific details as to the supervised visitation center, did you have any concerns about that modified visitation?
No, ma'am.
And then when it comes to Mr. Rodriguez having the unsupervised time with Maddox, you and he were in agreement that those exchanges should occur at the Temple Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else, ma'am, you wanted the court to consider at this time?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Haley. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
All right, Mr. Glass, any questions of the witness?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, you may proceed with the next witness then, Ms. Bongat.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Pedro Rodriguez. Sir, what is your full name?
Pedro Ezekiel Rodriguez Jr.
Sir, how are you related to Maddox?
I am the father.
And sir, you had an opportunity to see the DNA test report that was just shared on screen?
Yes, ma'am.
And you also had an opportunity to hear my opening statement to the court.
Yes, ma'am.
Was that an accurate description of the relief you're seeking from the court today?
Yes, ma'am.
So generally speaking, the prior orders would continue with the addition of this retroactive child support judgment and repayment beginning January 1st,
Yes, ma'am.
as well as the electronic communications you would have on Sundays and Tuesdays with Maddox, plus the in-person visitation that starts with the 12 modified visits at the beginning.
Yes, ma'am.
And sir, with regard to the initial 3 visits at the center that'll be specified in the order, you were comfortable with covering the expenses for those yourself?
It's like I said, it'd be kind of tough, but I'm okay with it. Yes, ma'am.
And sir, you remember the $500 lump sum that judge had previously ordered when he granted the DNA testing?
Yes, ma'am.
And then as far as your current support amounts, there's not been any change to your income since we did those orders?
No, ma'am. It's still the same.
Okay. And then as far as the visits where you will get to take Maddox and go elsewhere, you were also in agreement that those occur at the Temple Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
And then, sir, as far as the mother's request that Maddox's name be changed from its current state to Maddox Ray Haley-Rodriguez, any problems?
No, ma'am. None at all.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Rodriguez, you wanted the court to consider at this time?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
All right, then, any questions of this witness, Mr. Glass?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, then, anything else, from either, any other witnesses you wish to call, Ms. Bongat?
No others for the state, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Glass, do you have any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right, I'll start with you, Ms. Haley. I'm looking at granting everything you and the father have requested here today, the name change, the money, the visitation packages, everything else. Do you have anything else you think I need to know at this time, or ma'am, or any witnesses you wish to call?
No, sir.
How about you, Mr. Rodriguez?
No, sir.
All right, then, like I said, I'll go ahead and grant everything as requested. I'm setting it all up as per the temporary order. I'm gonna go ahead and do the name change. You're gonna go ahead and put the child's middle name as Ray, and then we're using the 2 last names in conjunction. As far as that's concerned, I'm going to child support, the health insurance, the retroactive child support, and based on the current circumstances, I will waive court costs. So is there anything else the state needs me to do on this one, Ms. Bongat?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Glass?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Rodriguez and Ms. Haley, have a Merry Christmas and be safe out there, and I'll have the state prepare that order for circulation for y'all to review. And once reviewed and signed off on, I'll sign off on it, and hopefully everybody has a great and happy New Year and Merry Christmas.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
May the parties be excused, Ms. Bongat?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Glass, Mr. Rodriguez, Ms. Haley. We're off the record.
Thank you.